All right, folks. So I've been asked to react to this video. Xbox Ally equates to Xbox not wanting to grow their market share. So this is from VGF's White School. So let's check it out and see what's going on. But this was a request from my community on my Discord. So if you do have a request, feel free to join my Discord. Link in the description below, and go into the request section for reaction and post the video there. And I'll check it out and see if it's uh, worth reacting to. And if it is, you'll see it on the channel soon. All right, here we go.
For a few minutes this morning. Shout out to Keasante and Everborn. And I saw a comment from one of their viewers. And I have to say, this is a viewer that's also been on my channel that, for some strange reason, I'll get like a comment or a question or whatever about Xbox's ecosystem. They are not so keen on me pointing out Xbox's business. They usually say, oh, you're all constantly saying Xbox is good, PlayStation bad. Bro, PlayStation sucks. Everybody is getting good stuff, eating good, getting consumer protections, and all this stuff. PlayStation is over there locking you all into an ecosystem to farm you and revise price increases on the subscription. And I have a PlayStation, so from a customer perspective, when I run a comparison between PlayStation, Xbox, and Steam, I see PlayStation as number 3 and Nintendo as basically dead to me. That's a Nintendo stab for those of you who weren't paying attention. Now, the comment you left here, you said,
Nintendo dead to me is that's a interesting take, especially with just the way Nintendo is dealing with everything. But definitely Nintendo, in my opinion, with if we're looking at how the businesses are running, Microsoft is having its most, the best financials uh returns it's ever had. So for Microsoft, this year has been absolutely astronomically great, and they've had amazing games throughout the year. And next year promises to be even better. I do hear what he's saying about PlayStation, and I do agree with that. PlayStation had like massive first party games releasing year in, year out, you know, multiple first parties. Now they're restricting it to like one or two, or generally just one big one, which is a bit of a shame. And I kind of expect more from PlayStation, especially with all the studios that they have. But I also understand that they are multiple years behind after the 9 or 12 games or 13 games they cancelled the live service, even though they are still doubling down on it. It's crazy. But he isn't wrong when he's saying what he is.
in my opinion, Microsoft is not trying to grow their market anymore. They're just going to squeeze all the money they can from their 10 to 30 million diehard Xbox fans with any console or OEM product they release from now on.
Now, I'm going to answer this before he answers it and see how we actually interlink. Now, I think this is completely false. Microsoft is trying to grow the market, but not in this way that, the old style of market is grown. They're kind of trying to evolve that growth into all avenues. They want to be everywhere. So if you're looking at a tablet, if you're looking at a phone, a TV, or if you're looking to buy anything, they want to give you the option of playing Xbox games. And yes, the hardware hasn't sold very well. I mean, 30 million is still 30 million, but Microsoft has kind of pushed past that now. And people still constantly going on about the 30 million. It doesn't make sense because Xbox games are everywhere now. They're not just restricted to that 30 million. They're on PlayStation, they're on Nintendo Switch, they're on PC, they're everywhere. They're on GeForce Now, right? So you can literally just have a box standard Chromebook at home, power up GeForce Now through your browser, and play Xbox games. Yes, you do need to either buy them physically off Steam or off the Xbox store, or you can sign up to Game Pass. And that is where the fundamentality of this growth is going to be. It's not just the console growth that Microsoft is looking at. They're not even looking at that anymore. What they're looking at is how wide reach their software is getting, and just how much of that, how much of the time people play their games they're encompassing. If more people are playing Xbox games overall, it means they're making all the money.
Now, Everborn was very gracious to give you a very, detailed response. He talked about how he thinks that, yeah, they're probably not interested in growing that hardware market piece and all that, but they are growing with software. And Everborn is nicer than me. I'm a hardliner because I'm of the mind that what's happening here is Microsoft makes business decisions that PlayStation users either are not aware of what it is that they've done, or they purposefully bury their heads in the sand. In this case, though, FaceBKNY, I will give you the benefit of the doubt and just say that you're probably not aware that Microsoft has already expanded its market and you just didn't catch it. And I'm going to show you how you actually didn't catch it. Do you want to see it? You play on PlayStation, so you're actually within a locked ecosystem. It's difficult to see what is, passed in front of you unless you change your position. And in some cases, you may have to broaden your perspective, and you don't necessarily have to physically change your position. You can inform yourself, or you can delve into an area where you're probably, in a sense, not necessarily accustomed to what's going on. In my case, my learning experience has been to delve into the Xbox ecosystem. That's why when I was in Proto Rock's podcast, you were in the comment section as well, remember? And I told Proto Rock, I said Xbox was making more money from its consoles than it was making anywhere else. And he was very surprised when I said that. Do you know why? Because many PlayStation users are not aware of Xbox's business. Now, let me get you back to speed. Xbox expanded its business by simply coming to dial back down on a PC platform that it had already established a small minimal aspect on and is now broadening it. Notice how this Xbox app that you're seeing in front of me is no longer just going to be on regular Xbox, on regular PC devices, but is now pretty much going to be in a form factor on handhelds that are out there, pretty much trying to equate itself to the likes of Steam and Epic Games and such to appeal to another market that's out there that's not going to buy the console. You on PlayStation is also trying to some extent do the same thing, but in their own case, they're only doing it with the video games and the sequels. Even though they tell you that they're trying to see if you would come and buy these sequels, they're still launching sequels on PC. So PlayStation has expanded their market as well outside of the traditional locked box ecosystem. But as you claimed that the Xbox gamers who are the hardcore will continue to be there, so will the PlayStation gamers be there. However, you miss out that there are also other markets that Xbox has tapped into. They emphasized heavily on the biggest market at the time, which was Steam, compared to theirs, and were able to introduce their games and their titles here. So now that these games and these titles have already been introduced here, and yes, they did sell well, so did PlayStation's, they now have a easier crossover, which is their own Xbox ecosystem, to games like Game Pass. PlayStation has a bigger mountain to cross because they want to expect, or they now expect, that the PC gamer should go buy a PlayStation console, which is likely an abomination for a good number of PC players. But
So more or less what he said there was on par with what I was saying. At the end of the day, Microsoft has outreached itself and basically wants to be everywhere. And by being everywhere, they're making it easier for you to access those games. Whether you want to play them on PlayStation, whether you want to play them on Switch or on PC or on your phone, your tablet, cloud, remote play, whatever you want to do, they want to be there. In fact, they've recently announced that they're going to be in cars, and certain cars are going to have it built in, and you'll be able to, with the Wi-Fi inside the car, actually play Xbox games through the cloud as you are on the move. This is crazy, but Microsoft just wants to be everywhere. And what they're saying is, we're not going to charge you £500 for the box or £1,000 for the box. You can join us for as little as $20 a month. That barrier to entry is so much better in this, for people, especially in this economic climate. But in general, it's so much more
on the other hand,
appealing
Xbox is like,
than saying, hey, if you want to go into this, you need to pay that 550 or $750 plus tax. You see the difference? $20 when mum and dad go to the shop and say, hey, I want my kid to be playing games. What's the cheapest way to enter? And they'll be like, well, Game Pass is the cheapest way to enter if you've got the internet that can actually allow it to do it. Powered with a Series S potentially. but you don't need it. If you've got a TV, you can play through the cloud. And so these options will be presented to them, and so they can do it. And so they can buy a month of Game Pass and see how it works out. And if it works great, they don't need to buy that hardware. And so they've already gained someone going over to Game Pass and subscribing. Whereas on PlayStation, you kind of have to spend that money up front, and then you have to pay for PlayStation Plus so you can get the features unlocked so you can play it online if there is, or if the game is always online for whatever reason, even if it's a single player, for you to be able to play it. It's crazy. So this is what Microsoft has done and it's continuing to do. So they're two very, very different market propositions.
Like, you don't have to buy a console. If you notice, the business expanded
Did you
while
hear
we
what he
were
said?
all PC players. But on the other hand, Xbox is like, you don't have to buy a console.
There you go.
If you notice, the business expanded while we were all sitting here on podcasts and arguing about the name of the Xbox Ally X or the Rogue Ally X. Because what Xbox did before it even bothered launching any hardware to actually commemorate this was it got itself into those ecosystems with the Xbox. Everything is an Xbox ad and campaign. So if you think that Xbox is no longer trying to grow their market anymore, it's simply because you are still sitting in that place where you can only see what's in front of you. The moment you actually get out of that perspective, you're going to see something that's very interesting. And you know what almost always happens? What almost always happens is it's always at the end that the PlayStation fanboys who choose not to see what's outside usually get the realization that something is going on. For instance, you all are acting like you've forgotten quickly when Xbox's chief or Microsoft's chief came out and said that they had clocked almost $5 billion in Game Pass revenue for the very first time. That $5 billion number was happening while all of you were saying, or at least claiming, maybe not you, FaceBKNY, maybe others were saying that that Xbox was pretty much backing away from the emphasis on Game Pass. Christopher Drink said that, and many people amplified it.
I mean, Christopher Drink is a grifter, right? He will, if he's having a bad week, he's just going to turn around and just say anything bad about Xbox just to get the PlayStation community riled up and the Xbox community riled up, and it'll get him engagement and views and clicks and yada, yada, yada. That's why he does it. There's nothing you can say that will convince me otherwise. But, what he's saying here is spot on. At the end of the day, people need to look past the console. And there are a couple in my Discord who can't do that. And you kind of have to at this point because the console isn't everything anymore for Microsoft. They have done such a big outreach, and this is an Xbox campaign, as silly as it might sound, is designed to basically showcase and to put forward that you can play our games any way you want. We're not trying to bring you to an Xbox. We just want you to play our games, whether it's through Game Pass on a TV, or whether it's through PlayStation, or whether it's through your phone through Game Pass, or your tablet through Game Pass, or you might want that home console experience, and you can buy an Xbox Series console. We are providing you with ways to do that, and not limiting you to one hardware. In fact, if you want to go to another store and buy our games, like Steam, you are more than welcome to do that. And Microsoft will still make revenue and still grow. In fact, the financial earnings for this year, like I said, or was it last year, has been their best earnings yet. And that $5 billion from Xbox, even if you take $1.5 billion for costs, that's $3.5 billion in profit. Which company out there is going to turn around and say that is bad? $3.5 billion in profit. That's insane, folks. And you have people still to this day saying that $3.5 billion is bad for business.
Remember when they said, oh, Game Pass had flatlined and there was no longer any growth? Yet, those of us who were looking at the numbers that leaked within the Activision Blizzard King and the announcement from Sarah Bond saw that there was a trend. of at least 1 million users every year growing on the platform. Even with the price increases, or even without the price increase, there were already subscribers that were actually jumping into the ecosystem. Then the Xbox bosses, they said that their subscriptions on PC had grown by 30%. And many of you refused to actually see how the market was expanding. All of this was here in front of you. But now that the Xbox Ally X is coming out, you only want to go ahead and pull everything to fit inside your worldview. But that's not how it works. What you're going to see is you're going to wake up in the next 5 years and find out that PlayStation is irrelevant when right now the signs are in front of you.
See, I'm not saying they're going to be irrelevant. I think they're going to do exactly what Microsoft are doing. They're going to follow the same path eventually. Maybe not now. Maybe not in 2 years. But they will. Because that is where the market is going. Dockable handhelds, mini versions, or even just becoming an app on a TV. That is what the industry is wanting right now. And this is also going to kill secondhand gaming, which is to the benefit of corporations, not to consumers, unfortunately. Consumers benefit greatly from secondhand games. Unless you're talking about Nintendo games, they just never discount. Brand new game, $70. Secondhand game, $69.95. So I guess you get that 4 pence discount, but it is what it is. But ultimately, this is where it's heading. But Sony obviously aren't in any rush, especially with what they're enjoying right now. But Microsoft is preparing itself not just for tomorrow. Microsoft is preparing a seat for what's coming in the next 5 years, 10 years, and they are going to be in the best possible place they can possibly be in. And they're making sure that they're ready when this transition has fully kicked in. They're going to be in the driving seat. I mean, they, to a certain degree, are already in the driving seat. People don't realize that yet, but they really are.
The reason PlayStation is going to be irrelevant is because the gaming industry is expensive and Xbox has more money to spend on the gaming industry than them. Do you notice all the people who were yelling Xbox is no longer doing marketing have shut up because Xbox threw its weight behind the marketing of this Xbox Ally X device?
Okay, they did throw the whole... They've done a lot of marketing for this device. I'll give it that. And they've really aggressively pushed it. But let's not take away from the fact that when it comes to their games, they absolutely suck at marketing. They suck at brand awareness when it comes to it. They are just absolutely terrible. So let's not kind of sugarcoat that. They really are bad when it comes to marketing. But they've done a great job with the This Is an Xbox campaign, which I've said multiple times. And the way they have aggressively, with Asus, marketed this, ROG Xbox Ally is phenomenal. And it's done wonders. It's got people interested that weren't interested before. So it is great. So they've done a great job there. And credit where credit is due. But also, we do need to call out the deficiencies as we see them. And Microsoft's marketing and advertising campaigns have been way below par. Way below. But hey, credit where credit's due. The ROG Xbox Ally ads and marketing has been on point. It's been great.
And will throw its weight behind marketing on other fronts as well. You do understand what's going on, right? Because their spend is bigger than PlayStation. The whole popularity contest is about to fizzle out. Why? As the generations change between my generation and your generation in the gaming scene, the young people are going to be looking for value proposition, and Xbox is already positioned waiting for them. As PlayStation keeps up the so-called fake premium model, it's going to lose because even though you go ahead and follow the line of PlayStation, you're still likely going to be playing Xbox games on there. So they're winning on PlayStation and they're winning on Xbox, and they're going to win on the general market front as they are taking all the steps to ensure that they are pursuing a bigger market that is not this traditional console market that's already set in their ways.
So basically exactly what I said, right? Exactly what I said. Exactly what I said.
So again, I hope you would revise that thinking, and I hope most people who are actually in the same place would revise that thinking to actually go ahead and assess properly what it is Xbox is doing. You don't have to be a fan of Xbox to actually know what they're doing. You can just simply go ahead and find out and know what they're doing. That's all you have to do. I'm not saying you should affirm that what they're doing is right or wrong or better. I'm just saying you should know. As to whether it's right or wrong or better, that's a matter of time basically telling if that's actually going to be the case. However, they're not going to sleep. They are positioning themselves, which has been their strongest suit all this while. Thank you for watching the video. Talk to me.
And that's basically been it, right? They are positioning themselves for the next 5-10 years. And so they want to, in 10 years' time, be in a certain position. And right now, they are making sure that they're going to be there. Companies like PlayStation are not doing this. They're really slow and they are going to get left behind. And so the next year or two is going to be very telling for PlayStation on how they want to be in the next, in the next 5-10 years and where they're going to position to in that 5-10 years. Because if you get left behind in this, the next platform wars or cloud wars that's going to happen, Microsoft is building its war chest. It may be getting rid of studios, but it's keeping the IPs. And it is getting that war chest built more and more. And I do suspect it is going to make it bigger. It's not going to be any major stuff, but you'll see over the course of time, they're going to expand on that war chest more to make it more enticing so everyone comes to them. But folks, great video. Lots of cool stuff in here. Thanks so much to my community for recommending me to react to this. This was a great video. I hope you enjoyed the reaction. And VG Fighting School, thanks for the video. I'm going to leave a link in the description below so you can go check the video out and give him a like, a view. I really appreciate it. It's, I am reacting to his content, yes, and I am changing the content in adding value to it, but at the same time, I would like, his content also to get the views that he may have not have got. So please do consider clicking on the link and giving him a view as well. Right, folks, that's it. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release. And if you are on mobile, do consider leaving me a hype. You can leave 3 of those a week for free. And so if you do have any remaining, please do consider leaving one for me on this video because it really helps get the video out there. This is YouTube's new gimmick. So thanks so much. And with your help, let's get to that 10,000 subs. Peace out, folks. Good night. Remain legend.